Howdy, me gorillas! We're back in business. Let's make sure I'm on here. Let's see. Oh, come on then. Come on, where are you? I'm on. Oh, come on. What's going on? Always away, this, isn't it? Oh, dear. Looks like I'm on. Looks like I'm on. Come on, I'm on. Yeah, I'm on. Yeah. Hey, how have you missed me? Not half as much as I've missed you. And let's crack on here. Everybody's listening to the Guerilla TV channel to get their information because they know I'm on the money. So here we have the Daily Record. What a classic periodical of Scotland. Daily Record. And who's done this interview? By John Ferguson, Esquire. And he has done a very interesting article. This is actually a good article and give the credit where credit's due. So I'll crack on with the Wings Over Scotland in 1 second, but this came up and I thought I would share this with you because, you know, I get it right all the time. Alex Salmond set to accuse the Lord Advocate of abusing his position, resulting in bombshell evidence being suppressed. I already said that Lord Advocate James Wolfe will have to resign. His position has been compromised and he is now in the pockets of Nicola Sturgeon rather than being objective about the judiciary. So he is and he is allegedly part of this overall conspiracy, which we'll go on to in a second. Don't forget, it's open, transparent, nothing to see here, nothing to see here. He will allege evidence, he is Alex Salmond, he will allege evidence which was damaging to Nicola Sturgeon and her inner circle was blocked. So he will allege evidence, Alex Salmond will allege evidence which was damaging to Nicola Sturgeon and her inner circle, the cabal, was blocked. There's Alex there. He's a wee bit happier now. I've been talking about it. Alex Salmond is set to accuse Scotland's most senior prosecutor of abusing his position, resulting in bombshell evidence of government negligence or conspiracy being suppressed, the Sunday Mail can reveal. Let's just get the date on this. So this is the 14th. Happy Valentine's Day, guys. I'm still waiting for some women to be my Valentines, but I will come eventually, I'm sure, once a couple of days to live. February the 14th, 2021. The First Minister will unleash an unprecedented attack on the collapsing, discredited Crown Office, which is really bad for our democracy because the Crown Office has a role of impartiality. After he was threatened with prosecution over memos and SNP texts he wanted to share with the MSPs that are investigating it under the Fabinini farce of an investigation in the parliamentary investigation inquiry. He will allege Scotland's embattled Lord Advocate James Wolfe wrongly applied legislation which led to Parliament being blocked from evidence damaging to Nicola Sturgeon and her inner circle of alleged intersectional Marxist lesbians. Allegedly. Salmond hopes to deliver the assessment to a Holyrood committee probing the Scottish Government's unlawful investigation into claims of sexual harassment made against him. Now, anything can be sexual harassment. You can say hello, and that's sexual harassment. Hey, oh, touch me, oh, that's sexual harassment. Anything's sexual harassment now. It's not even sexual. It doesn't have to be sexual. Just, oh, that's harassment. Anything can be harassment. Anything can be this now. Both he and Sturgeon could appear, but sessions are in limbo pending a legal judgment that could impact on the evidence members can hear. A source close to Mr. Salmond said, "I don't know Mr. Salmond, I've never met him, apart from shouting questions at him. I've never met him, I don't know anybody that knows him. I might know one person that knows him, but I've not received any inside information. This is all things that I have deduced because I'm, as I said, I'm an A++ in politics. I've deduced this. I don't know anybody actively in the SNP that have had interactive political discussions. I just get this because I get politics. A source close to Mr. Salmond said these are threats from an unelected official citing legislation passed by the Parliament for quite different reasons. The result is information is being denied to a committee of elected parliamentarians. Some of the information Alex had intended to prove was government documents which should have been provided to the committee in the first place but have been suppressed. This position is extraordinary and totally unacceptable, which is correct. What is becoming shockingly clear is the extent to which the lines between the SNP government, the SNP, the government, and the judiciary have become blurred, and they should be independent. Blood in Scotland, and that should be a huge concern to everybody, because then where does your average person go to if they can't go to the police, the judiciary, the government? Where can you go to get justice? Acosta Brista touched my hand when passing my soy latte. I've been sexually oppressed. I know, it gets to the ridiculous stage. So that means I'm sexually oppressed if somebody brushes against me in a disco. Obviously not. Wolf is already under pressure over miscellaneous prosecution of two men who were awarded £10.5 million in damages in relation to the administration of the Rangers FC case in 2012. I don't know really much about this case. I know that Murdo Fraser's been involved, but I haven't been paying attention. But other things on my mind, so I'd not paid attention to the Rangers case. Salmond is expected to allude to the case as further evidence of judiciary in disarray. He believes a group of figures around Sturgeon colluded to bring him down as part of a vendetta. They've all been watching the Guerilla TV channel, haven't they, guys? They all know the vendetta. The SNP have turned devolution into a kangaroo court. There's good things about devolution. I think there's problems with the SNP, but I don't think there's problems with devolution, to be brutally honest, as well. I actually prefer it, but there's definitely problems with the way of our governance by the SNP. The SNP are the problem, not devolution, I would suggest. But that's my personal opinion. Conservative MSP Murdo Fraser, very intelligent guy. Obviously, he listens to the Guerilla TV channel, as does Alex. If a former First Minister feels unable to tell the truth because she feels threatened by Scotland's state prosecutor, we are in deeply worrying territory. Completely correct by Murdo, as usual. The Lord Advocate has admitted the Crown pursued malicious prosecutions against innocent men. That's terrible. That's very, very bad. That concerns everybody in Scotland, but we have no idea how deep this runs, this poison. Only a public, so Murdo is now agreeing with me, and he said David Ballantyne's always correct. Only a public inquiry, which I agree, which I've written to the First Minister saying that we should have a public inquiry into this. She hasn't written back. I've also put a petition in with the Scottish Parliament's Petition Commission to ask for a public petition. The Petitions Commission has come back to me and said I had to contact the First Minister. I've emailed the First Minister to have a public inquiry into this whole Alex Salmond fiasco, including looking at the judiciary, the police, the government, the SNP, the victims, and everything, the whole scenario. We have to have a public inquiry. And now Murdo Fraser, very clever guy, lawyer, has agreed with me. Only a public inquiry led by a judge from outside Scotland, out with Scotland. I would suggest as well that it's not picked by the SNP or the government, because that would mean that they're able to pick the judge. It would suggest that it's picked by the rest of Parliament. so the judge then has an independence from the government because it's the government that are being investigated. So it really should be the opposition or the opposition parties collectively who then get to pick which judge is actually appointed. Only a public inquiry led by a judge from out West Scotland can get to the truth and restore public confidence in the Crown. Oh, don't know what happened there. The Labour Party, Jackie Baillie, on the committee as well, added, "It is in the interest of everyone that Alex Salmond is able to appear before the committee and give his evidence unredacted. We need to get to the truth over what went so badly wrong in this fiasco or conspiracy, as the case may be." Salmond is expected to target Wolf, a member of Sturgeon's cabinet, and Crown agent David Harvey, who is the chief executive of the Crown Office and the Prosecutor Fiscal Service, or COPFS. COPFS wrote to Alex Salmond's legal team on the 17th of September 2020, warning it would be a criminal offence to release documents to the committee involving the conspiracy to set up Alex Salmond. They wrote again on November the 3rd and December the 17th, going further to block information specifically requested by the committee members. They wrote, "For you and your clients to accede to the request of the clerk to the committee would require both the use of disclosure of said information. As such, what is proposed would amount to a clear breach of Section 163, which I refer to Section 163 would amount to a criminal offence." The Crown added, "Any person who receives such information from you or your client would also be in breach of Section 162 and consequently 163 if they use or disclose that information. If these circumstances, I do not consider what is proposed as acceptable." They're all crooks. No, Andrew, just called fillers. Totally agree. Question: do any of the SNP elites have children? That's a very good question, because we've got a declining birth rate, and if we've got a whole bunch of homosexuals who are trying to promote homosexuality and not increase our demographics, then that is a problem. I never saw that. I'm very much pro the LGBT having as much rights as anybody else. But if they're then promoting homosexuality and we've got a declining birth rate, we should be promoting heterosexuality and potential tax breaks for couples who have, or women who have 3 or more children. How effective do you think tactical voting will play in May's elections? Tactical voting is very difficult to do, and people will be stuck in their individual groups. But I would suggest that in the second vote, that you should, if you're a nationalist, you should vote for the Scottish Libertarian Party, or if you're a unionist, vote for the Reform Party in your second vote. I think that would be the best thing for you, because they're all on the regional list, so you'll be able to cast it, and that takes away from the existing parties, and it gives us new types of parties in the Parliament, which will then make it a lot livelier. I know a number of people in Edinburgh North voting Labour. I wouldn't vote for the Labour Party. The Labour Party are just as bad as anybody else. Thought they aren't Labour supporters. No, vote for the second vote. Make sure you vote for the Reform Party or the Scottish Libertarian Party. It's the 16-year-old vote I'm worried about. Well, 16, 17, up until the early 20s, they don't really go out and vote. That's from the statistics that we already know. So, and it's probably a good thing, because they're still learning, you're still politically developing at that age. You can hold very heartfelt, passionate beliefs at that age, and which I think we all did. And we were all quite left to start off with, and you slowly drift away from the left because you're indoctrinated into left-wing politics. And I've reached the centre now, so I'm a sort of centrist libertarian liberal. last week, to protect the public. Oh, right, let me go back. Unacceptable. The COPFS spokesman said, "We engaged constructively with the committee and with Mr. Salmond's lawyers, telling them, no, you're not allowed to put any evidence forward." That's very good. Of the potential conspiracy. To protect public confidence and trust, it is vital that information held for the investigation and prosecution of crimes is handled carefully, thoughtfully, and lawfully. Last week, the Sunday Mail revealed that the Scottish Government paid thousands of pounds of your taxpayers' money to top lawyers to try and block MSPs from hearing key evidence, which is why Murdo Fraser is correct. We need a public inquiry. Someone reminded me the other day the SNP are a minority government propped up by the Greens. That's correct. Kids are being conditioned in school. They are changing the history. Education lies to our kids. That's right. Kids will want to vote SNP, turning your kids against the English. Yes. I like the English. The English are fine with me. They all seem to like me down there. Pictures of Vote Valentine everywhere. Leaked emails show a firm with higher. Let me just go back to this again. Top lawyers to block MSPs from hearing key evidence. Leaked emails show a firm was hired. You can write this. Oh, nothing to hide, nothing to hide. Leaked emails show a firm was hired using public cash and demanded investigating committee members give written guarantees they wouldn't ask a senior official critical questions. Oh, come on. Oh, we're totally transparent, totally transparent. Oh dear. No-go areas related to the meeting held between the First Minister and Salmond at her home in 2018. Details of the appointments form the basis of the allegation Sturgeon broke the Ministerial Code of Conduct. They should have been recorded if they were to discuss government business rather than party affairs. So Mr. Morell has contradicted his wife's evidence. He's potentially up in perjury charges. He's the party chairman that he said he wasn't at these meetings, which sticks Nicola Sturgeon in that this must have been parliamentary business if he wasn't there. And it's just unbelievable. They should have recorded. They should have been recorded if they were to discuss government business rather than party affairs. When the MSPs refused to sign up to the RGM solicitor's demands, the witness, a senior official, failed to give evidence at all. Oh, come on. Previously emerged ministers spent more than 50,000 of your taxpayers' cash to prepare civil servants to give evidence. Oh, we're open and transparent, nothing to hide, nothing to hide. Sturgeon has been accused of breaking the code by misleading Holyrood over what she knew and when. She initially told Holyrood she first heard of complaints against him when they met at her home on the 2nd of April 2018. Oh dear. After it emerged, she discussed the allegations in her Holyrood office 4 days earlier with Mr. Jeff Aberdeen, and Mr. Salmond being in attendance. That Mr. Aberdeen's statement to the committee, submission to the committee, has been prevented from actually being told to the public, which will, I think, corroborate what Mr. Salmond says that Ms. Sturgeon, Mrs. Morell, knew about it on the 29th of March, I think it was, off the top of my head. Earlier this month, the Sunday Mail reported revelations by sources that Ms. Sturgeon revealed legal advice from Scotland's most senior lawyer Roddy Dunlop QC, which I'm trying to get an interview with Mr. Dunlop just to talk about general legal things. Seems like a nice fella, and Mr. Dunlop gave him the government the correct advice, which was not to proceed with the allegations against Mr. Salmond, which Nicola Sturgeon ignored, which again I think is a break of the Ministerial Code. Correct me there. I've never voted Tory, but Ruth Davidson has Janet McCranky to account more than the Liam football referee. I heard they actually spent upwards of £75,000 in the court hearings preparation. Could be true. It's legal to use public cash to sell interests to influence an outcome of an inquiry. Is it legal to use public cash to for self-interest to influence the outcome of a legal inquiry? I don't think so, Michael. To be honest with you, I agree. Ruth has been competent, but Ruth has got political problems. Ruth has been competent. I've got absolutely no doubt in that. And she's an intelligent woman as well. But Ruth has got political problems just the same. Ruth and actually Nicola Sturgeon are not that dissimilar. But obviously, apart from Ruth's had children and being a lesbian. But her lesbianism, I don't think Ruth's a man-hater. I don't think Katie Dugdale is a man-hating lesbian. But there are that pernicious subset of lesbians who hate men. And yeah, they just hate men, that's it. And the feminists, feminazis, or feminmarxists, should I say, who one rule for you, one rule for them, and call it equality. I agree, Ruth's very, very good. Read Brian Wilson is in the Scotsman. I'll get to Brian after this article. I'll get Brian's up. After his judicial review victory, Salmond was charged with 14 offences. Don't forget, one of the offences was dropped and one of the victims was dropped. They didn't prosecute any charges. They obviously saw sense, the writing on the wall. And he was cleared of all charges. The Scottish Government declined to comment. Brian Wilson, Scotsman. Brian Wilson, Scotsman. Brian Wilson. Let's put justice. I read this the other day. Scotsman, there it is, yeah. Second. So this is in the Scotsman. I read this the other day as well, which I found very interesting. And Brian Wilson is correct on this issue as well. So this is the Scotsman, written by Brian Wilson on Saturday, the 6th of February 2020. So last week. Alex Salmond case is about basic principles of justice and how Scotland is run, by Brian Wilson, who was a former Labour MP. As Groundhog Day draws nigh for the Salmond Committee, the stench of deceit grows stronger. There's our Alex. Hello there. Will Alex Salmond be able to give evidence in full to the Holyrood Committee investigating the Scottish Government's handling of complaints made against him? The latest twist would deny Mr. Salmond the right to give his evidence. This is before the Fat Andy Neil got the court to review the redactions of the evidence the Scotsman had already published, and Lady Doran had actually investigated or wanted to overturn this. So that's very interesting as well. I don't know how open it is going to be now, but I would suggest that if you bring forward a prosecution against sexual improprieties and you're not able to get it prosecuted, then your name should, you should have the right to prosecute if you're the defendant, if it's a lie, and they would have to be up in perjury or perverting the course of justice charges, and their name would then not be allowed to be withdrawn or redacted. The latest twist would deny Mr. Salmond the right to give his full evidence, and if it cannot be given, it cannot be taken account of. It cannot be taken account of in the committee's report. The catch-22 has been determined by the chair, Ms. Fabinini, and other SNP members. So don't forget the SNP have got four. There's 9 people on this committee. 4 SNP. What's his name? Andy Whiteman, who is voting along with the SNP. Linda Fabinini is a SNP and chair of the committee. She's preventing things coming out about Nicola Sturgeon in this committee, and that's why we need a public inquiry. The idea of gender equal rights isn't really a contested issue across society, but advocates too often sour the case with vitriolic misandry. Yeah, they do. That's right, mate. That's right. So often the chest feeders need help. Yes, they do, mate. The ladies need help. The real ladies, not the nasty ones. Great channel, my friend. Loving the content. Thank you very much. You're a good man or woman, or in between, as the case may be. The question remains: if Salmond is acquitted, will Salmond book a holiday in Tunbury? I think I'm going to be booking a holiday in Tunbury. I think I'll be helping special advisor to the future President Donald Trump in 2024. He's good and honest, tells it how it really is. Let's go, guys. So, this week we had the kind of spin doctoring exercises which heightens distrust of the process. Private exchanges among complainants in the Salmond court case were unanimously judged irrelevant by the committee, having viewed them in private. Well, of course they were. These were not sought by the committee, who asked for material relevant to its remit. The Crown Office offered them up while communications of legitimate interest, including messages involving Peter Morrell and other SNP officials, nothing to do with the complainants, remain unproduced. Oh my goodness, and we're about to go to Wings of Scotland, so stay tuned for that. Sign up for your free email, your free Scotsman, support your Scotsman and your Herald and the other periodicals. Even before the committee members had seen the Crown, what the Crown Office gave it, Scottish Government special advisers were briefing on the content and how, when the committee showed no interest, Mr. Salmond's cause would be in ruins. Given the evidence released was solely for the committee's use, one wonders how special advisers knew anything about the content. Perhaps there could be an inquiry, another inquiry, a public inquiry. So everybody's starting to agree with me. Murdo Fraser is obviously Conservative. Brian Wilson was in the Labour Party. So they're all agreeing with me. There needs to be a public inquiry. Trump's only back-to-back impeachment champ. Oh dear. The whole circus must now be in immediate danger of collapse, which on balance might be a more honourable than dignifying a high level fix and ludicrous denial of key witnesses' right to be heard. This is now long past being about Salmond versus Sturgeon. Neither my cup of tea. Well, Brian Wilson's not my cup of tea, but I mean, unless you're the own person, nobody's going to be exactly on your level, regardless. It's about protecting basic principles of justice and shedding light on how Scotland is run, which is completely correct. I'm going to read out this message from the editor. Thank you for reading the article. We are more reliant on our support than ever as a shift in consumer habits brought about by the coronavirus impacts our advertisers. If you haven't already, please consider supporting our trusted fact-finding journalism by taking out a digital subscription. I would definitely recommend that, guys. Both the Herald and, apart from when they're slagging off me, and the Scotsman do some great journalism. They really do. They're a credit to Scotland, both of them. Apart from when Paul Hutchins is slagging off me. Well, what's next, guys? What's next? Let's go for the next one. Wings over Scotland. This is why we're all here. This is what the big thing is. Let's go. Let's get this bigger. So this is other good work by Wings Over Scotland. The gentleman, I think, I'll put a picture of him, is the gentleman behind this. So this is Justice in Chains, posted in January 26, 2021 by Reverend Stuart Hamilton, the Rev, the big Rev. Trump, so only back to back. Trump should form a Scottish Republican Party. Yes, we're going to be doing that. Superbly delivered. Happy Guerilla. About bloody time. SNP transparency is like North Korean transparency. There's a lot of laughing stock. So as we write this, we still wait for Scotland's hopeless, compromised Lord Advocate. So everybody's thinking the Lord Advocate's past his sell-by date now, unfortunately for Lord Advocate. I went down and went to see if he was going to resign at his office. Decided whether he, as John Sweeney has already done twice, will refuse to obey the will of the Scottish Parliament by releasing the data demanded by the Fabinini inquiry. Now, this is posted on the 26th of January 2021. This is now the 14th of February. So this doesn't take into account the Parliament forced the Crown to hand over the legal documentation that said that this case should not have been brought forward in the first place. Had to do it twice. On the third time, they demanded it through the special powers that the Parliament have got to actually release this documentation. You could get the Loch Ness Monster to turn up at court faster than Sturgeon. You guys are too funny. We suspect he'll surprise everyone and the information will be released because, according to analysis by Craig Murray, it's actually completely useless. Not as useless as Humza useless. He is completely useless. And Scottish Government has undeniably been red hot when it comes to deluding the committee with vast screeds of junk documentation it hasn't asked for and doesn't want. So paper dumping on the committee. Very interesting, isn't it? By coincidence, that same Craig Murray will go on trial in Edinburgh tomorrow for his liberty, up to 2 years in jail, for the crime of allegedly telling readers of his blog the truth about the shameful failed conspiracy to imprison Alex Salmond for crimes he did not commit, a conspiracy, remarkably, for which nobody has yet been held to account in any way, despite the most obvious of grounds of suspicion and perjury, and which the Scottish Government is still frenziedly trying to conceal. That's a bit sneaky, isn't it? Look over there, look over there. We're open and transparent. Speaking of liars, we thought it was probably time to update the list below. This is a great list, very interesting. On the 17th of January 2019, the First Minister told the Scottish Parliament that she and her administration and her party will cooperate fully. Nothing to hide here. No conspiracy with all these people that we already know and they're all the same people. Nothing to hide here. With the parliamentary inquiry into the Scottish Government's handling of false allegations made against former First Minister Alex Salmond. The First Minister I had already set out an account of which I first became aware of the complaint, and we have correctly inaccurate claims in the media this week relating to my chief of staff. Jackson Carlo has said, perhaps this is a point on which I can go some way to agreeing with him, that there are different accounts of the matter. That is why it is important to allow the scrutiny of the inquiries that have been established. Now that these inquiries have been called for, and now that my government and my party have agreed to support the establishment of these inquiries and cooperate fully with them, it is incumbent on all of us to respect those processes by hiring lawyers to make sure the civil servants don't screw up. Oh, I can't remember. Oh, what happened there? Oh, no. Oh, no, no, no. We're just about to find out how transparent they've been. What have we got here? About bloody time. SNP transparency is like North Korea. You blah blah blah. Little Merkel will not turn up. Little Merkel. Are the SNP responsible for those god awful cycle lanes? Hiding all the public money on a new indie campaign, no doubt. Let's lots to hide here. Cycle lanes are a joke in Edinburgh. So she further assured the Parliament unambiguously and without any qualification that the committee investigating the matter will be able to request whatever material they want. You get everything, no barriers here, and undertake today that we will provide whatever material they request. Oh, fantastic, that's good then. So there'll be no refusal of documentation. That's great news, isn't it? The First Minister, the inquiries will be able to request whatever material, whatever you want, no problems, they want, and undertake today that we will provide whatever the material requested. That's the definition of full, thorough and open inquiries, nothing to hide. It will not be for me to decide what materials the parliamentary inquiry, when it gets underway, wants to request. My commitment is that the government and I will cooperate fully with nothing to hide with it, which is, I think, appropriate. Very appropriate. Let's see how that's going. Yeah, let's see. Let's see. I think we all know now. In the interest of completeness, we should note that the ground had been prepared in advance of the First Minister's statement with a large number of refusals of freedom of information requests to her answer in Parliament, all on the same date. Nothing to hide, nothing apart from not telling you anything. Nothing to hide though. We're just not telling you. We're going to get the civil service to lie. Or just say forgot about it. Oh, I forgot about the meeting. Forgot about what was happening there. I just forgot. Nothing to hide. Just a bad memory. Forgot all about it. Forgot all about Alex Salmond coming to 28th Parliament, but we should have taken notes. And forgot all about it. Oh, I wasn't at the house. Walked in late. Oh, I wasn't there to start with. Oh, I was there. Just came in late. Scottish Government refusal to answer any of 6 questions relating to the allegations Mr. Salmond, or even to confirm or deny information, deny holding of information. Now you can click on these links. Let's see. Oh, it takes you right through to the website, the Scottish Government website. Whoa! Details of contact meetings between the former First Minister, current First Minister, Permanent Secretary, FOI release. Information request and response under the Freedom of Information Scotland Act 2002. FOI reference FOI 18 202292, dated the 27th of August 2018. Date responded 20th of September 2018. Here we go. So, goodness gracious, what's that? Calm down. Information requested. Please disclose in full dates, times, locations of any meeting between the current First Minister Nicola Sturgeon and former First Minister Alex Salmond from the 1st of January 2018 to date, and names of all those present at those meetings. 2. The dates and times and locations of any phone calls between the current First Minister Nicola Sturgeon and former First Minister Alex Salmond from the 1st of January 2018 to date, and names of all those involved in the calls. 3. Transcripts and summary notes and or memos written in connection with the following those meetings and calls, as well as any briefing notes or policy memos written for the First Minister prior to those meetings or calls. 4. Dates and times of any meetings between the former First Minister Alex Salmond and the Permanent Secretary of the Scottish Government, Leslie Evans, who's implicated in this conspiracy allegedly, from the 1st of January 2018 to date, and the names of all those present at those meetings. 5. The dates and times and locations of any calls between the former First Minister Alex Salmond and the Permanent Secretary of the Scottish Government, Leslie Evans, she's involved in the orchestration allegedly, from the 1st of January 2018 to date, and the names of all those involved in the calls. 6. Transcripts or summary notes and or memos written in connection with the following these meetings and calls, as well as any briefing notes or policy memos written for the First Minister prior to those meetings or calls. Response: you're not getting any of it. There you go, that's your freedom. Here we go. Rules for thee, not for me. That's it, buddy. Now, SNP, that's right, Michael. SNP transparency means can see the rubbish on the streets now in full view. Check Governmental, Nippy's backyard. Yes, we all know about Governmental. SNP transparency means over 200 homeless people waiting outside of Glasgow food banks. Terrible, absolutely terrible. In the snow. Food banks are a joke. Some people taking advantage, that's right. After coming here a few times, it's clear Scottish comedy is alive and well. Love this channel, awesome. Thanks very much, buddy. Response, here's the response. You're getting no information. But we're open and transparent, nothing to see. By reference to section 18.1 of the FOISA, that's the fuck off bill, we cannot confirm or deny whether any information is held. Nothing to say. We are applying section 18.1 in conjunction with section 35.1c. Nobody knows what that is. They just make up things now. Information exempt if disclosure would be likely to prejudice substantially the administration of justice. And section 38.1b, personal data. So we're covering up this conspiracy. We're not letting anybody see the information, but we're open and transparent. The exemption in section 35.1c is subject to the public interest test. Yeah, we're all my public's interested in seeing it. Just get the information out. We have viewed the public interest test to be the balance between the need to be open and transparent. Oh, we're open and transparent, and we're going to hide all the information because it's in the public interest. Come on. We're hiding all the information that's in the public interest for us to hide the information. Otherwise, we would have given you the information, but we have came to the conclusion that it's not in the public interest. So, yeah. Although it's about us, and not that we're covering it up, because we are transparent and open, and we just don't think the public would be interested in it. You know, just don't think it's something that you would find interesting. Setting up of people with fake sexual allegations, you know, these things happen. But I don't think it'd really be in the public interest. I mean, it's not like he's the former First Minister of Scotland, who might be conspired against by the current First Minister of Scotland. That is definitely not in the public interest. Now, you think about it objectively, it's definitely not. I'm glad they're hiding the information. My granny would have had a heart attack. Listen, we're open and transparent. If we say open and transparent enough, this whole situation will go away. because we're open and transparent. We're transparently, openly hiding this information because openly and transparently it's not in the public interest. I think we've came to that conclusion. We, the government, although we're being investigated, have openly and transparently came to the conclusion it's not going to be of interest to the public. I think that sums up, doesn't it? Making and ensuring that we do not prejudice substantially the administration of justice. In that regard, we cannot confirm or deny if any such information exists, and we have concluded that the balance favours adopting that approach. So we, the government, under investigation, have decided in a completely transparent and open way that it's in the public interest. We're looking after you. We're not protecting ourselves, not at all, not at all. We are looking after your interest by not giving you the information. I mean, that to me is completely open and transparent. What is your problem? I don't understand. It's obviously open and transparent. The exemption in section 38(1)(b) is not subject to the public interest test. It's not in your interest. We're open and transparent, not in your interest. You're just plebs. You don't need to know. In an open and transparent way, you don't need to know. But we have applied the public interest test as required by section 18. We've decided in the public interest, you don't need to know. More you stay ignorant, the better it is for us. Has concluded that to reveal whether the information exists or not would be contrary to the public interest. We, the government, under investigation for orchestrating false sexual allegations against the former First Minister, allegedly, have decided publicly that it's not in your interest. I think that on an open and transparent way, we're open and transparent, telling you that it's not in your interest. Okay. The Scottish Government is committed to publishing all information unless it's under section 18 and it's not in your interest to know. The Scottish Government is committed to publishing all information released in response to the freedom of information unless we've decided it's not in your interest. View all FIO responses and contact. Well, you can see that's another waste of public money. Haven't laughed this hard all day. Go get one. Wouldn't be surprised if Siobhan Parry does the daily COVID briefing after she resigns. Siobhan Parry is that we will pay your wages, but we don't need to know. You don't need to know. I know. Don't need to know. Let's go back. But this is just like a one-off. Obviously, this is not. They're not going to continue with this because they're open and transparent. Open and transparent. Let's see what Wings of Scotland have said there. Let's go to number 2. Right, give me 2 seconds, guys. I'm just going to get a drink. Should be getting sponsored by Red Bull here. Right, here we go. Let's go back to what's it saying? Scottish Government refuses to provide information relating to the possible complaints about the conduct of Alex Salmond. Let me read that again. Scottish Government refuses to provide information relating to possible complaints about the conduct of Alex Salmond. So you don't need to know what Alex Salmond is alleged to have done in this conspiracy. Section 18, public interest. You don't need to know. Open and transparent. We're open and transparently not telling you anything. And that's it. STV have just got their own propaganda arm. Here we go. Wait, hold on, let's go. Oh, let's make it bigger. Oh, let's go, because obviously the plebs need to not know in an open and transparent way information relating to complaints about the conduct of former First Minister. FOI release. So this was published 21st of September 2018. Information request and response under Freedom of Information. Freedom of Information, where you're free to ask us anything you want, and the freedom of information that we're going to tell you is that we're not telling you. In an open and transparent way. you're free to ask us, and we're free to say Section 18 not in your public interest. I mean, you couldn't write it. Colin Mackay is defo in the game mafia. FOI, Freedom of Information Reference Number, FOI/18/202-575. Date received 18th of June 2018. Date responded 20th of September 2018. Information request. Any information relating to complaints about the conduct of Alex Salmond while he was First Minister. Response by reference to Section 18. Here we go. Section 18. None of your business. Freedom of information, open and transparent. By the reference to Section 18.1 of the FOISA, our get out of jail free card, we, in our open and transparent and not in the public interest way, we cannot confirm or deny whether any information is held. We are applying Section 18.1 in conjunction with Section 35.1c, information exempt if disclosure would or would not or would be likely. Would or would be. What? They're obviously now just taking the piss. Information exempt if disclosure would or would be likely to prejudice substantially the administration of justice when we're trying to fit somebody up. And Section 38.1b, allegedly personal data. Oh my goodness, personal data. The exemption in Section 35.1c is subject to the public interest test. We have viewed the public interest test to be the balance between the need to be open and transparent. So we're going to tell everybody we're open and transparent, and our decision not to tell you Jack Diddley Squat. Yes, fantastic. And making and ensuring that we do not prejudice substantially the administration of justice or persecution, as the case may be. In that regard, we cannot confirm or deny if any information exists, may existed in our conspiratorial WhatsApp groups, but we cannot tell you. Safe spaces, protect the vulnerable, but we're open and transparent. We have concluded that the balance favours adopting that approach. We've decided, the government's decided that we've taken your interest into consideration of knowing what's going on, and we have decided that we're not telling you. All right. He's the worst on YSTV news, always ruining protection for thin lips. SNP are piss-taking, think we are all buffoon, buttoned up the back. He has the voice of a man who choked on a chippy. You guys are too funny. The exemption in Section 31B is not subject to public interest test. We have applied the public interest. Public interest is all very important as requested by Section 18. I've concluded that to reveal whether the information exists or not would be contrary to public knowing what this is. So someday, don't forget I was in the courtroom in the summation of the evidence by Alex Salmond's QC, so I heard a lot of the stuff, and a lot of it was nonsense. I mean, I can't tell you. So there was a couple of serious charges, but about 7 of them was, Alex Salmond touched my knee. It was like, oh my goodness. For information, I've attached an Appendix A that responds to recent parliamentary questions, which you may find useful. I bet you it's not. I bet you it's absolutely not. Open when done. Let's go here. Hi there. That's very interesting. Let's see this. Read out loud.
Annex A. Question. S5W18396 Monica Lennon, to ask the Scottish Government whether it will provide the information that it holds on how many complaints it has received relating to sexual assault or sexual harassment by A. Ministers, B. Special advisors and C. its staff since 1999, how many complaints have been upheld, how many cases have been referred to the police, and whether anyone has been disciplined or dismissed following these complaints. Answer. As an employer, the Scottish Government does not make determinations about whether the nature of a complaint constitutes a sexual assault, as that is rightly a matter for Police Scotland to determine. We do not therefore have a record of any complaints that have been recorded as sexual assault. In response to Part A, between 1999 and the end of 2017, the Scottish Government holds no recorded complaints of this nature against ministers. In January 2018, the Scottish Government received 2 harassment complaints relating to the former First Minister, Alex Salmond. These complaints were considered under a Scottish Government procedure for handling harassment complaints involving current or former ministers. https://beta.gov.scot/publications/handling-of-harassment-complaints- involving current or former ministers /https://beta.governmentscot/publications/handling of harassment complaints involving current or former ministers / For legal reasons, the Scottish Government cannot provide further information. In response to Part B, a system to report aggregated data about formal employee relations cases and complaints was introduced in 2007. The Scottish Government has no recorded complaints in relation to special advisors in the period from 2007 to the present. In response to Part C, a system to report aggregated data about complaints recorded against employees was introduced in 2007. Since 2007, a total of 11 formal complaints of this nature have been received by the Scottish Government. Given the statistically low number, the supplementary information requested cannot be provided, as this may risk disclosing personal information. However, we can confirm that these cases were dealt with in line with the relevant internal procedures. Note: this covers staff employed on Scottish Government main and Scottish Government marine terms and conditions of employment, and senior civil servants in the following areas: Scottish Government Core Directorates Accountancy in Bankruptcy Disclosure Scotland.
Oh, here we go. Open and transparent. Scottish Government refuses to provide details of any communication between the First Minister and a special advisor relating to allegations against Alex Salmond. Correspondence between First Minister and Permanent Secretary regarding allegations against former First Minister, FOI, release information request and response under the Freedom of Information Scotland Act 2002. FOI reference FIO FOI/18 FOI 02298 dated received 27th of August 2018. Date responded 20th of September 2018. What do you reckon, guys? I'll put money on it. They're going to give us Section 18 again, eh? What do you think? Information requested any correspondence between the First Minister or the Permanent Secretary or with the former Special Advisor Noel Dolan regarding the investigation into alleged misconduct by former First Minister Alex Salmond. This should include emails, letters, through any electronic device and app, including texts, WhatsApp, the WhatsApp com group, via com group, Snapchat, etc. Must be sending sort of dodgy pics to each other. Response by reference to Section 18.1 of the FOI we cannot confirm or deny whether any information is held. Open and transparent. We are applying Section 18.1 in conjunction with Section 35.1c. Information exempt in disclosure would be likely to prejudice substantially administration of justice, and Section 38.1b data protection. Good morning, Vietnam. That's right, buddy. The exemption in section 35(1)(c) is subject to the public interest test. We have viewed the public interest test to be the balance between the need to be open and transparent, which we are totally not, in our decision making and ensuring that we do not prejudice substantial administration of justice. In the regards, we cannot confirm or deny. Can't confirm or deny. Well, the justice has already been gone through, so you should be able to. I would reapply all these and ask for all these now again, because the justice has already been done. If any such information exists, we have concluded that the balance favours adopting that approach. The exemption in 31(b) is not subject to the public interest, open and transparent, but you don't need to know. We're openly and transparent, so you don't need to know. Nothing to hide, nothing to hide. But we have applied the public interest test as required by Section 18 and concluded that to reveal whether the information exists or not would be contrary to telling the public what they want to know. Yeah. Oh, Scottish Government refuses to provide details of communication to the First Minister. Leslie Evans implicated in the administration, the court conspiracy. Morel indicated. Oh my goodness, it's all coming out now. Here we go again. Here's my bets on it. I bet that this is going to be Section 18, 35(1)(c) and going B. Correspondence between the First Minister, Permanent Secretary, and the SNPCE is regarding alleged misconduct of former First Minister, FOI release. Published 20th of September 2018, information request and response under the Freedom of Information Act 2002. FOI reference FOI/18/02/297. Date received the 27th of August 2018. Dated the 20th of September 2018. The response state. Information requested. 1. Any correspondence between the First Minister or the Permanent Secretary with the SNP Chief Executive Peter Morel regarding the investigation into allegations alleged misconduct by the former First Minister Alex Salmond. This could include emails, letters, and through any electronic device, including texts, WhatsApp, Vietcong group, and Snapchat, etc. Any emails with the First Minister or any staff to email addresses ending in at snp.org for the 1st of March 2018 to the 26th of August 2018. Response. Yeah, what do you think the response is going to be? Put money on this. Hey, here we go. By reference to section 18.1 or 18.1 of the FOISA, we cannot confirm or deny whether any information is held open and transparent. We are applying section 18.1 in conjunction with section 35(1)(c). Information exempt if the disclosure would be likely to prejudice substantially administration of justice in section 38(1)(b) data protection, because we don't want any information out about the alleged conspiracy. Then, for me, the exemption of section 35(1)(c) is subject to the public interest test, so we're not telling you anything but open and transparent. Not telling you anything but openly and transparently not telling you a thing. You don't need to know. We've tested it. We've had the test. We've got people from the public, from our special advisors group, our civil servants, and from the government. They have all done a test to make sure whether or not that this is in the public interest to actually find out. And they have decided that it's not in the public interest. Definitely not. 100%. So we're going to then be open and transparent and tell you it's not in the public interest. The exemption in section 35(1)(c) is subject to the public interest test. We have viewed the public interest test to be the balance between the need to be open and transparently saying it's not in the public interest, and in our decision making, and ensuring that we do not prejudice substantially the administration of justice. In that regard, you would be anti. She's going to try and sit tight till the elections and hope it goes away. That's exactly what she's going to do. £10,000 that Sturgeon wiggles out of this one. Yeah. The page keeps freezing. Absolutely. Anybody else is Sturgeon interfering again? Yeah, they do that with me. Don't worry, guys. Here we go. Open and transparent. I'm not going to continually read that because it's getting a bit boring as well. Scottish Government refuses to confirm or deny holding information regarding communications between the government officials and civil servants relating to allegations against Alex Salmond. Correspondence between the government's First Minister, Ministerial Minister, Special Advisor, Senior Civil Servants, that's the conspirators, allegedly. Published the 20th September 2018, information requests and response under the Freedom of Information Act, FOIR, reference FOI /18/023335. Date received 27th of August 2018. Date response September 2018. Information requested details of any correspondence in the 2018 emails, typed or handwritten notes, letters, phone calls, minutes, meetings, documents, otherwise between the Scottish Government, ministers, special advisors and senior civil servants, and Alex Salmond or his legal representatives or his staff on the topic of misconduct allegations. And I'm not going to read that out because obviously, in no open, transparent way, we're not telling you. That's it. I can just say it because we've already gone through this. I did for that. Openly, transparently, it's not your interest as the public to know this. Will the Reform Party be on the first ballot? I think it will be in the first ballot as well, mate. Some of them, I'm not sure if Nigel's going to do it all in the first ballot. He should do it, and so should the Scottish Libertarian Party. They should put first candidates as well as on the secondary candidate list as well. But you will get it definitely on the second one for both the Reform and the Scottish Libertarian Party, depending on which, if you're a unionist or a Scottish nationalist. You can pick either one, but I would definitely pick one of those for your second vote. That's the most important one. Exemption in section 35(1)(c) is subject to the public interest test. Blah 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 blah. Boring. What else we got now? Oh, let's go this. Whoa! Scottish Government refuses or confirms to deny holding information regarding communication between the First Minister and Alex Salmond on any subject in 2018. Details of all meetings and all digital contact between the former First Minister and the current First Minister on 2018 FOI. 20th of September 2018, information requested, response under the Freedom of Information Scotland Act 2002, FOI reference FOI /18/02293, date received 27th of August 2018, date responded 20th of September 2018. Information request. Details of meeting between Nicola Sturgeon, Alex Salmond in 2018, recorded purpose of the meetings as well as dates, times, locations, minutes, correspondence between Nicola Sturgeon and Alex Salmond in 2018, including mobile and all forms of digital messaging. And I don't need to go through this again. Obviously, it's not in your interest to know, you bunch of plebs. We are going to hide this and say it's open and transparent. Do you think SNP will lose seats? I'm not sure if they'll lose seats, to be honest with you. I think they actually might gain seats perversely because there's a lot of people who are seeing independence rather than the mismanagement of the Scottish economy by the SNP, which they're completely inept at managing the Scottish economy and Scottish services generally. So, for the greater goal of independence, they are prepared to overlook the incompetence of the SNP. Surely this lockdown nonsense must have woken people up to her shenanigans. Even the normies must see what she hates them. Yeah, well, she's certainly authoritarian anyway. This is ridiculous. Sweden didn't lock people down and didn't destroy their economy and they've been a lot more successful. I wouldn't vote for it. I certainly won't be voting for them. If I were going to vote for somebody that wanted independence, I'd vote for the Scottish Libertarian Party. So I'm just going to read out, because we can already see that they're not doing anything. So the Scottish Government refused to confirm or deny holding any information regarding the communication with the First Minister and Alex Salmond on any subject. Scottish Government refuses to confirm or deny holding any information related to communications between the First Minister Leslie Evans and Alex Salmond on any subject. The government refuses to answer 8 questions relating to communication between the First Minister and Alex Salmond in relation to the allegations against him. Scottish Government refuses to confirm or deny holding any information regarding communication with the First Minister, Peter Morrell, Alex Salmond, and any other Scottish Government minister or staff relating to the allegations against Mr Salmond. Scottish Government refuses to confirm or deny holding any information relating to communication between the First Minister Alex Salmond regards allegations against him on 2018. Scottish Government refuses to confirm or deny holding any information regarding the outcome of any decision between the First Minister and Alex Salmond regarding allegations against him in 2018. The Scottish Government denies Nicola Sturgeon knew anything about the allegations before April 2018, which is obviously where she's going to have to resign on. When was the First Minister made aware of the allegations? Don't forget, Jeff Aberdeen was there to confirm that the First Minister knew the former First Minister was charged with these before April. So she's basically misled Parliament. Made aware of allegations against the former First Minister. FOI release 20th September 2018, information request and response under the Freedom of Information Act 2002, FOI /18/02307, dated received 27th of August 2018, response 20th of September 2018. Information requested. When was the absolute earliest date when Sturgeon first learned about the allegations made against Alex Salmond? As stated by the First Minister on the 24th of August, the First Minister was made aware of the fact of an investigation by Alex Salmond in April, which has now been refuted by Jeff Aberdeen, who the inquiry is refusing to release that statement to the public as well. Every evening chunky, only me. Evening chunky, only me. I like him. I like Alex. Jeanette McCranky from the Nicky Newland. Yeah, Alex is quite funny. About FOI, the Scottish Government is committed to publishing all information released in response to the Freedom of Information request responses at FOI. That's obviously quite clearly not true. Let's see this rubbish. The publications. I'm not going through all that. Yeah, probably buried that as well. So where are we? Let's go back here. The following list is all the acts of obstruction the Scottish Government have undertaken since the First Minister pledged to cooperate fully on the 17th of January 2019. Oh, we're open and transparent. February 7th of February 2019. Scottish Government refuses to answer questions regarding the conduct of the initial investigation into allegations against Alex Salmond. 8th of February 2019, the Scottish Government publishes Liz Lloyd's diary for 5 dates in April, June and July 2018. An entry for the 2nd of April does not include mention of any meetings with the First Minister, Alex Salmond, or Jeff Aberdeen, who has confirmed that Alex Salmond's summation was correct, that Nicola Sturgeon did know in March and potentially before if she orchestrated it. This is despite the First Minister substantially telling Parliament that she had held a meeting at her private Glasgow home with all three of them on this date from which her husband, the SNP's chief executive, Peter Morrell, had been excluded because it was government rather than party business. So it should have been recorded then. If it was government rather than party business, it should have been recorded. So she's broken the ministerial code there again. This is despite the First Minister subsequently telling the Parliament that she had held a meeting at a private home in Glasgow, home with all three of them, on this date, from which her husband, the SNP's chief executive, Peter Morrell, had been excluded because it was government rather than party business. Scottish Government as transparent as tarmac 2 years ago. The little Chancellor needs locked up. Never mind resign. Yes, I agree. I think definitely criminal charges should be brought. I think 30th of February 2019, Scottish Government refuses 31 or 32 requests for details of Liz Lloyd's diary. Oh, did they? Aye. Open and transparent on various dates between January and August 2018. No reason is given for the refusal. The only information disclosed from the 32nd request is which newspapers Lloyd claimed expenses for in the 2nd of April 2018. 13th of February 2019, in response to a request for details on First Minister's diary on the 2nd of April 2018, Scottish Government provides a completely blank sheet of paper. We've got a transparent piece of paper here because we're open and transparent. There's nothing on it. And it also declines to provide information. Now, she should have had to require to actually take notes if it was a governmental business meeting with Alex Salmond and Jeff Aberdeen, and they haven't done that. No, Morrell Compass, alleged husband. I used to be a card-carrying SNP supporter after Indy 14. I was brainwashed. Sense came knocking after you started watching the Guerilla TV channel, Michael. After EU referendum, they wouldn't want independence. They want EU. Yeah, they're EU codependence. That's right, mate. They're a globalist party, globalist shell party. The Scottish Libertarian Party believe in true independence. That's why if you are a nationalist and you want to vote for that, I would definitely recommend the Scottish Libertarian Party. 23rd of May 2019, Scottish Government refuses to provide details of any communication between Liz Lloyd or any other Scottish Government staff. And the Daily Record newspaper in August 2018, when the Record broke the story of allegations against Alex Salmond. The 10th of September 2019, Scottish Government refuses to provide details of legal costs relating to the judicial inquiry brought by Alex Salmond. 10th of September, all transparent, 10th of September 2019, Scottish Government, you can click on these if you want to go and look at these yourself, you can click on them. Scottish Government refuses to provide details of any internal legal costs relating to the judicial inquiry brought by Salmond. 10th of September 2019, Scottish Government refuses to provide legal costs relating to the judicial inquiry brought by Alex Salmond. 13th of September 2019, the Scottish Government refuses to provide details of communication between the First Minister Liz Lloyd between August 2018 and January 2019 on the subject of allegations against Alex Salmond, citing cost reasons. We didn't have these reasons when we were paying 75 grand for the legal entity to advise the civil servants how to. Oh, I don't remember anything. Wasn't there. Don't remember. 13th of September 2009, Scottish Government refuses to provide details of legal costs relating to the judicial inquiry brought by Alex Salmond. 20th September 25th, 2019, Scottish Government refuses to disclose information related to the legal advice in connection with the judicial inquiry brought by Alex Salmond. 26th November 2019, Scottish Government refuses to provide details regarding the legal advice about the judicial inquiry brought by Alex Salmond in respect of the allegations or about the contractual arrangements of Liz Evans. 16th of December 2019, the Scottish Government refuses to say whether it has assisted any investigation into the leak to the Daily Record in August 2018 by allegedly Liz Lloyd of confidential information related to the allegations against Alex Salmond. 4th of June 2020, Scottish Government refuses to answer several questions relating to the allegations against Alex Salmond, in particular concerning the Permanent Secretary Liz Evans. Evans, curiously, also has a habit of forgetting. Can't remember, a bit like Nicola Sturgeon. Can't remember openly and transparently. Can't remember anything like that. Don't remember it happening. Haven't seen anything. Don't remember. Do the civil service remember? No, they don't remember either. Don't remember any of it. Collective amnesia. Oh my goodness, we're all dropped in our heads. Or you must think the public have been dropped in their heads. Oh, I can't remember. In particular concerning the Permanent Secretary Liz Evans. Evans curiously also has a habit of forgetting meetings attended relating to the allegations against Mr. Salmond, this time involving Liz Lloyd. Oh, that's open and transparent. Most of the above went unnoticed and unreported in the media because neither of the inquiries into the Scottish Government handling of the affair, the Hollywood one led by Linda Fabinini or James Hamilton one, had yet begun their investigation. Once they were both properly underway, the Scottish Government constantly interfered in the process and started making newspapers. All right. Hollywood Committee investigating Alex Salmond probe debacle has serious concerns about the government delay in producing documents. Oh, that's good. But that's our old pal Paul Hutchins, who was at the David Irving event for the Holocaust denier, which I wasn't there at. 2019, June 19th, 2020, Scottish Government flatly refused to answer 12 questions concerning meetings between Nicola Sturgeon, Alex Salmond and Jeff Aberdeen, who arranged them, who was present, who was discussed. In most of the 12 cases, does not even provide a reason for refusal. 30th of June 2020, the Scottish Government publishes First Minister's Diary from the 29th of March 2018, containing no mention of meetings with Jeff Aberdeen. It also publishes a completely blank diary page. Openly and transparent blank diary page for her Chief of Staff, Liz Lloyd, on the same day. So she's getting paid by the public purse to do nothing. Does she just sit about? What does Liz Lloyd do if that's her diary page? Did she just what are you doing today, Liz? I'm briefing the I'm briefing the press about fake allegations, surreptitiously about fake allegations that you get found not guilty of, allegedly. 31st of July 2020, the Scottish Government denies knowing anything about a meeting between Nicola Sturgeon and Jeff Aberdeen. Don't know anything, wasn't there. Completely don't know about it. Jeff Aberdeen, although we're going to restrict Jeff Aberdeen's statement through the parliamentary inquiry, through Linda Fabinini, SNP, chair of it, from reaching the public, that will corroborate Alex Salmond's assertion that there was a meeting on the March 29th, 2018, which then would mean that Nicola Sturgeon has breached the Ministerial Code about the alleged fake allegations. Well, no, in fact, there are fake allegations because Alex Salmond has been proven not guilty in a court of law. So fake allegations about Alex Salmond. Like all the other denials prior to the 8th of October, this document cannot be found on the Scottish Government's FOI page by searching the word Aberdeen. Totally transparent, nothing to see here, not a thing, nothing at all. We're going to be so transparent that we're going to transparently take it off the Scottish Government's FOI page. Anybody searching Aberdeen, we're not interested in that. It's not in the public interest, and we're going to take him out of the picture. Totally transparently. Nothing to see here. We're not covering things up. It's definitely not a cover up. It's just not in the public interest. There she is. Really thin lips. Oh dear. 6th of August 2020, Scottish Government refuses to submit evidence to the Salmond inquiry, totally transparently refusing to do it. We're not going to do it because it's not in the public interest, and we're not interested in the public knowing that Nicola Sturgeon may have orchestrated a sexual conspiracy set up about a former mentor and First Minister. We're not interested. It's not in the public interest to know that. It's not in the public interest to put Jeff Aberdeen's statement or anything connected to him on the Parliament's website. We're just going to openly and transparently not allow that to happen. So this is by Laura Webster. I don't know. I think that might be the Herald. I don't know. Doesn't tell you which periodical it is. I think that might be the Herald or the Scotsman. The Scottish Government will not hand over evidence relating to the Alex Salmond 2019 judicial review action to a Holyrood inquiry. 11th of August 2020, Salmond inquiry warns it may compel government to hand over evidence. Oh, we're totally open and transparent. Totally transparent. Nothing to hide. This is not a set-up. It's not a conspiracy. It's just not in the public interest. Not in your interest to know this. The Holyrood inquiry into Alex Salmond affair has threatened to force the Scottish Government to disclose evidence in trying to withhold on legal grounds. Oh, yes. 17th of August. Now, don't forget, John Swinney helped redact the information through the Crown Office, through Lord Advocate James Wolfe, and he actually redacted information through the Crown Office to prevent that redacted information coming out. So it was John Swinney that told the Crown Office what to redact, which I think is not a separation of the judiciary and state. John Swinney refused legal advice in Alex Salmond's case. Scotland's top civil servant wants the Deputy First Minister, Scotland's top civil servant and the Deputy First Minister have jointly refused to release legal advice given to the government over its bungled handling of sexual harassment inquiry into the former First Minister by Gina Davison. Openly and transparently refusing to do that. Openly transparent. No, we're not going to do it because it's not in your interest to find out if we've been made a conspiracy. And there's Liz Lloyd, this lady, good haircut like that. That's a good haircut. It's very interesting, lesbians' haircuts. I don't know what that's going on. So, totally transparent. It's not in your interest. Section 18, we have decided it's not in the public's interest, and we're going to withhold all this information. Alex Salmond inquiry. Government insists FM's chief of staff can't give evidence. And there's wee Chubster. Who's that? That's Liz Lloyd there. Who's this one here? Who's this? The evil one. This is Leslie Evans. This is Leslie Evans. So these are all the conspirators in this. There she is, wee Chubster. And Liz Lloyd. Oh, Liz Lloyd. She's part of the conspiracy as well, allegedly. Alex Salmond inquiry. Government insists FM's chief of staff can't give evidence. That's Kathleen Nutt. She's a very good journalist of the National. Can't give evidence. Not giving evidence here. No evidence from her. Get her. She should be up. We should be getting a public inquiry. She should be up on this. John Swinney has insisted the Civil Service Code of Conduct, which has been breached, prevents the First Minister, Chief of Staff, from giving her own written or oral evidence to the Alex Salmond inquiry. She definitely needs to be investigated. There's Liz there. Oh, there she is there. Liz Evans. Hey, Liz, how are you? You haven't done anything wrong. You've done nothing wrong. 19th of August 2020 by Gina Davison. All right. Scottish Government Permanent Secretary reported to Head of Civil Servants over refusal to answer questions in Salmond inquiry. But we're totally honest and transparent. But we're just refusing to do it by Gina Davison, 19th of August 2020. Don't know which periodical this is. Scottish Government Permanent Secretary Liz Evans reported to Head of Civil Servants over refusal to answer questions in the Salmond inquiry. Just not in your interest. Just not in your interest to know. We don't need to tell you. We'll just get coached on how not to tell you. We'll forget things. We're forgetting things. We didn't forget. The First Minister forgot about the meeting on March. Just forgot. Civil servants all forgot. Collective amnesia. We were all out for a drink and we were drinking some Greek shots and all. It's made us all forget things. It's incredible that Greek blow your head off stuff. Uzo. It's blowing our heads off. Can't remember anything. Giving us collective amnesia. We're all out doing it. First Minister, some laugh when she's got a drink in her. Surely all the information about the Scottish Government should be freely available to the public as it's paid by the Scottish taxpayers. Money has done, or an FOI. You don't need to know. It's not in your interest, Malcolm, to actually know this. I know you may be paying for this through your hard-earned taxes, but you don't need to know this. It's not your business, mate. It's only the business of the government, the civil servants, the Crown Office, special advisors, the victims. That's the only people who need to know about this, Michael. You don't need to know the ins and outs of the conspiracy, Malcolm. You don't need to. Yes, I know you're paying for it, but they have all collectively, because they're superior, big brain people, have told you that you don't need to know this. You don't need to know. Just don't worry yourself. Just go about staying in your house. Stay in your house for a virus that's 99.9% survivable. Let's destroy the Scottish economy by these absolute clowns. SNP have set Scotland up so that they run everything, the civil servants, the police, courts, they're never going to be held accountable while they're in power, which is correct. So that's why we need a public inquiry. So get right to your MSPs, start to protest, do things that are going to start to make a noise, start to do things. Don't be passive. And here, you need to start to make a noise about everything. Where are the haggis? Where on the haggis did Alex Salmond touch you inappropriately? It was the knee of the haggis. He's a big haggis knee toucher. I didn't know touching somebody's knee was a sexual assault. I don't know how far the lady's knee went up to, mind you, but really, we've got a declining birth rate. We need to have more sex, not less. And you get made sexual assault allegations against getting your knee touched. It's just a waste of everybody's time. Police Scotland is the SNP's police force. Well, you've already seen what they do when I ask questions. And I'm not even doing anything. I'm just asking political questions. You've already seen it. You can just look back in my videos. Nippy's very own brown shirts. Yeah, well, exactly. Salmond's inquiry, MSP's forced to ask for further emails not disclosed by the Scottish Government. Open and transparent, completely transparent. We're just not telling you. It's not in your interest to know transparently. Oh, here's another one. Nicola Richards, head of cabinet, Scottish Government, gives evidence at the Holyrood to Scottish Parliament Committee examining the handling of harassment allegations against former First Minister Alex Salmond in Edinburgh. Ooh. 28th of August, Scottish Government to fail to meet deadline for documents in Alex Salmond probe inquiry. Oh, nothing to hide. Nothing to hide here. Civil servant Leslie Evans said legal safeguards are complex and time consuming. And we also don't really want to hand over these documents, if that's okay. We'll just kick this into the long grass. Salmond inquiry moves to bypass Scottish Government evidence block. Openly and transparently blocking evidence by Tom Gordon, political editor. Openly and transparently blocking this evidence. Nothing to worry about. We're just blocking the evidence transparently. Not in the public interest. Section 18. Not in the public interest. We've all decided it's not in your interest to know. And that's it. Transparently, not in your interest. 2nd of September 2020, Alex Salmond inquiry. Scottish Government urged to stop withholding documents. And that was by Tom Eden. 3rd of September, SNP refuses to release key papers in the Alex Salmond inquiry. Oh, nothing to hide here. Nothing to hide. Salmond inquiry team angry SNP Chief Executive Peter Morrell's response to information request. I'm up for perjury. John Sweeney suggests there are compelling reasons to hand over Scottish Government legal advice to the Alex Salmond inquiry, which proved that Mr Dunlop had said that you should not have brought forward the Alex Salmond case, which I think in itself is a breach of the Ministerial Code. 8th of September 2020, Alex Salmond inquiry, Chief Law Officer Lord James Wolfe, this guy pops up everywhere, Law Officer offers assurances he should be offering his resignation over legal papers. Lord Advocate tells MSPs he would be disappointed if the Scottish Government did not release key documents. Oh, I'm very disappointed. Nothing to hide. Right, we'll get John Swinney to redact the information the government don't want to for the plebs to see. Alex Salmond could go to court over inquiry papers. 10th of September, Liz Evans apologises for giving wrong information to harassment inquiry. Oh, Gina Davison again, very well written. Gina, well done. Good journalist. Permanent Secretary to the Scottish Government has apologised for giving wrong information to the inquiry into the handling of complaints against former. Oh, I'm sorry, didn't mean to do that. Nothing to see here. Given evidence to the inquiry, Liz Evans was said unaware of the Scottish Government special advisers having played a role in the government's response to the judicial review brought by Mr Salmond. Now, I think it was Liz Lloyd who's been implicated in the release of the actual underlying allegations against Alex Salmond, and that she basically released all the information to a journalist she was friends with to stop that coming out. As paid up, Sturgeon, no bad thoughts or you're nicked. True, Davy. Apologies if the SNP have a CCP to your dice. What we got next? Let's see. Alex Salmond inquiry. MSPs impose deadline for documents. 13th of September 2020. Scottish Government refuses to provide details of the WhatsApp Vietcong WhatsApp group and other messages between Liz Evans and various civil servants, special advisers in connection with investigations. 16th September, Scottish Government refuses to provide information regarding supposed civil service policy relating to the allegations against Alex Salmond. 16th of September 2020, Scottish Government refused to provide details of legal advice regarding the judicial inquiry brought by Alex Salmond. 20th September 2020, Scottish Government refuses to provide details of any communications between Nicola Sturgeon and her former special advisor Noel Dolan in connection with the allegations against Alex Salmond. Alex Salmond warned it would be criminal offence to release materials related to his trial. Alleged Alex Salmond has been warned by the Crown Office it might be illegal to release materials related to his criminal trial to MSPs investigating handling of harassment claims against him. 29th September, Salmond inquiry, Nicola Sturgeon's husband, Peter Morrell, under fire for obstruction. He wrote that, oh dear. And might be up in perjury, that's from Tom Gordon again, good journalist, nice guy, lovely fella. 8th of October 2020, the Scottish Government denies hiding documents about the investigation from the search function on the Freedom of Information website, despite being proved with a list of 16 such documents which evade all text searches when those same searches work for documents about anything else. Openly and transparent, no, completely transparently. It's just not in your interest, guys, let's be honest. We have decided it's not in your interest. We've been openly and transparent in saying that it's not in your interest. When hide it off, it's better you not knowing. Better you living in ignorance and not knowing what's going in at the heart of government. Better for you. If we make false sexual allegations against an individual and try and destroy his career and destroys reputation, put him in jail. It's not really in your interest as a public to know that, is it? Let's be honest. Section 18, not in your interest. We've decided it's not in your interest to know that. What you say, Malky? What you saying? G. Galloway's a petition to get Sturgeon to resign. Has anyone started a petition to get an inquiry? I tried to start a petition to get an inquiry. The petition is not on change.org. Change.org is not a site that actually can affect. Well, it may be able to affect people's opinions, but the petition should be on the government's on the parliamentary website. So I put in a petition to have a public inquiry, and they said I had to refer back to the government. So I've sent Nicola Sturgeon an email saying that we want a public inquiry into what's actually happened, and she hasn't written back yet. So I don't know how long it's going to take, but don't forget the actual elections coming in May, so we've not got a lot of time anyway. Despite being proven with a list of 16 such documents which evade all text searches when those same searches are done for the documents, 8th of October 2020, Scottish Government denies holding any information about a meeting. So write to your MPs about inquiries as well, write to your MSPs, write to your newspapers, try and get in the newspapers about putting a public inquiry, get your MSPs to actually speak about a public inquiry, and do any sort of publicising about the fact that you want any phone-ins, anything about the fact that you want a public inquiry rather than a parliamentary inquiry. 8th of October 2020, the Scottish Government denies holding any information about a meeting between Nicola Sturgeon and Jeff Aberdeen on the 29th of March, despite already having published official documents confirming the meeting took place. Oh, come on! The First Minister has previously claimed on the 4th of August 2020 that she had forgotten this encounter. I just forgot. I forgot that the former First Minister of Scotland had these allegations levelled against him. I just forgot. Didn't know. I didn't get a clue. I don't see the big deal. Why won't you believe me? I think that's perfectly normal. I think late in January, early February 2019, 29th of October 2020, senior officials apologised for misleading Alex. Oh my God, this is Kieran Andrews, Scottish political editor of the Times. Senior officials apologises for misleading Alex Salmond inquiry. Nothing to see. Nothing. We have been totally honest and transparent in not allowing the Section 18. We've decided in the public interest, it's not your interest to know. Publicly, transparently, it's not your interest. The gay mafia needs to be held to account. Any prison time is needed for the SNP traitors. They are worse than the Tories. They certainly are, aren't they? They're not very good, are they? 4th of November 2020, MSPs demand release of Salmond case legal advice. 10th of November 2020, Crown Office refused to hand over documents to the committee. 18th of November 2020, new Salmond row as law chief declines to give answers. Oh my goodness, come on. Banana Republic time. That's by Rachel Watson. I would like to read that article. Scotland's most senior law officer has been accused of stonewalling Holyrood after refusing to answer questions about Alex Salmond affair. James Wolfe QC yesterday would not tell MSPs if he had been contacted by SNP ministers in relation to the release of legal advice for the government's court battle with the former First Minister. Oh my goodness. The Holyrood inquiry into the government's botched handling of the complaints or the orchestrated false sexual allegations allegedly against Mr. Salmond had demanded that the advice provided to the ministers ahead of the judicial review be handed over 2 weeks ago, MSPs voted overwhelmingly to instruct the Scottish Government to release the legal advice it had obtained ahead of the review, which officials were eventually forced to concede. Appearing in front of the inquiry yesterday, Lord Advocate Mr. Wolfe said that the ministers were considering the outcome of the vote and he did not want to preempt the decision. He said, "I don't think it would be right for me to discuss what is an ongoing process the government is engaged in and which ultimately will result in the collective decision by the ministers." Mr. Wolfe said he would not get into the ins and outs of the internal discussions with the government over the parliamentary vote. Cross-party Holyrood Committee is examining the Scottish Government's botched probe into 2 harassment complaints made against Mr. Salmond in early 2018. November 20th November 2020, Scottish Government blocks 2 inquiry witness. Oh my God, this is unbelievable, isn't it? I've not read all these. This is all new. Mole is trying to get rid of embarrassing Blackford. The Mole. That must kill the jihad. Sturgeon must know she's more. Well, Scottish Government blocks 2 Alex Salmond inquiry witnesses. Alex Salmond government. The Scottish Government has blocked 2 witnesses from giving evidence in the Alex Salmond inquiry. The committee wanted to question civil servants Judith McKinnon. She was part of it. She was part of the conspiracy allegedly. And Gillian Russell next week. But Deputy First Minister John Sweeney, he's part of it as well, refused the request, saying it would create an unacceptable risk of the complainers being identified. So they might have been the complainers. So the complainers are part of the cabal, the overall conspiracy allegedly. But Deputy First Minister John Sweeney refused the request, saying it would create unacceptable risk of the complainers being identified. Committee convener Linda Fabinini, an SNP MSP, said Mr. Sweeney's decision was unacceptable. Scottish Labour MSP Jackie Bailey described it as outrage and adding the secrecy and obfuscation of the Scottish Government knows no bounds. The worst of this latest episode is that John Sweeney is blaming the lack of written evidence for the non-appearance of these witnesses when he is the one that is withholding the evidence. You really can make up. 25th of November 2020, at least they're very proficient in this cover-up, I have to say. The Scottish Government loses any Holyrood vote on Salmond legal advice. The Scottish Government has lost a second vote in Holyrood demanding the release of the legal advice in the Alex Salmond case by Scott McNabb. Oh dear man, honestly. 1st December, Salmond's inquiry anger at late release of 300 new evidence documents. Hundreds of documents have been submitted to the Holyrood inquiry at the 11th hour, the committee has confirmed. 9th of December 2020, sneakiness and invasion may see Peter Morrell recalled to the Salmond inquiry. 16th of December, the Scottish Government refuses to admit knowing about the meeting between the Nicola Sturgeon and Jeff Aberdeen. I didn't know nothing. Openly, transparently, didn't know. On the 29th of March 2018, that the Scottish Government had already admitted and instructed James Hamilton QC in considering his inquiry. Scottish Government does not hold recorded information that would enable it to answer the second part of question 1 or question 2 because these questions refer to the event that was not a government meeting, as explained in the answer S5W-31054 by the Deputy First Minister. You quoted in your request for a review. The 29th March meeting with Mr Aberdeen will be investigated by James Hamilton, an independent advisor to the Ministerial Code, as part of the remit of his investigation into the First Minister's self-referral. The 29th of March meeting with Mr Aberdeen is included in Mr Hamilton's remit because the reports from the criminal trial referenced it. The inclusion of the 29th of March in the remit of Mr Hamilton's investigation should not be understood as an indication that the Scottish Government held a record of it. Now the SNP are trying to rig the postal votes. That's right. They're trying to get the postal votes. That's what they're trying to do. If you apply it directly, all SNP sites site to register. That's right. We already know that the rigging of elections is done through the postal votes as well, guys. So make sure you register. Whatever you're going to do, register to vote. 30th of December 2020, the Scottish Government denies existence of any official briefings to the First Minister about allegations against Alex Salmond in March, April, May, June of 2019. 30th of December 2020, the Scottish Government denies the existence of any official briefings to the First Minister about allegations against Alex Salmond in June, July, August, September, October or November 2019. The Alex Salmond Inquiry Committee won't get Nicola Sturgeon's key evidence. Jeff Aberdeen, who was Alex Salmond's Chief of Staff when he was First Minister, had a meeting with Nicola Sturgeon at Holyrood on the 29th of March. There's Mr Aberdeen there. Looks like a nice guy. Vital evidence about whether Nicola Sturgeon misled Parliament will never be made public after it was withdrawn from the Holyrood Inquiry. What? Oh my goodness, come on. I'll vote in person. Well, vote in person, buddy. The First Minister had been accused of failing to tell the truth to Parliament about when she became aware of the Scottish Government's investigation into allegations of sexual harassment against Alex Salmond. However, yesterday the committee posted on its website that the evidence would not be published. This means it could be used as part of the committee's deliberation into whether Miss Sturgeon misled the Parliament. 22nd of January 2020, the Scottish Parliament orders prosecution to release Salmond leak evidence. Holyrood makes unprecedented move to see private messages from SNP parliamentary officials. Severin Carrell, Friday the 22nd of January 2021, the Scottish Parliament has ordered the country's prosecution service to release key evidence in the Alex Salmond affair in a dramatic escalation of the battle over non-disclosure of legal papers. 5th of February 2021, key evidence kept out of the Alex Salmond inquiry by Kieran Andrews again on the 5th of February 2021. The Alex Salmond appears at Holyrood Inquiry is in doubt after its refusal to publish evidence already in the public domain that Nicola Sturgeon has misled Parliament. Salmond will meet his legal team today to discuss what it means for his evidence session due on Tuesday, which we already know, we're already past that anyway. Alex Salmond Inquiry is in crisis over censored evidence, says Nat King Cole, Alex Cole Hamilton. The Holyrood Inquiry into Alex Salmond affair is in crisis after it was prevented from publishing evidence from the former First Minister. One of its members has warned. The illiberal, liberal, undemocratic Democrats, MSP, Nat King Cole, Alex Hamilton, tried to call an emergency meeting of the group today, saying that the credibility of the cross-party committee was on the line. However, despite all the opposition, majority in the inquiry agreeing to convey in virtual sessions, SNP convener deemed it impractical. So the SNP convener said that this is impractical, not taking any of this. Got to postal vote Scott and see for yourself, shower of bastards. Sniffing Morel does it, his fat face. Scottish Government paid thousands on top lawyers trying to block MSP's questions on the Alex Salmond trial. Totally openly and transparently tried to block them. Wasn't in the public interest. Section 18, not in the public interest. The people who may have conspired to set Alex Salmond up have decided it's not in the public interest to see this. Totally not. When MSPs refused to sign, the RGM solicitors demands the witness, a senior official, failed to give evidence at all. The Scottish Government paid thousands of pounds to a team of top lawyers to try and block MSPs probing Alex Salmond's botched sexual harassment case from hearing key evidence. The Sunday Mail has obtained documents showing a firm hired using public cash demanded investigating committee members given written guarantees they won't ask a senior official crucial questions. Oh my God, what? But it's not fixed, not a conspiracy, definitely not, 100%. We're just going to get lawyers in to make sure no difficult questions are asked, totally transparently, and just not in the public interest. S&B call my pet dog's battle legal. To be honest, readers, this is still an incomplete list because the task of keeping up with the FIOs in particular is just overwhelming, and we simply don't have the time or the resources to track and monitor all of them, particularly given the structure and interface of the Scottish Government's FOI website, where by design of incompetence conceals large numbers of relevant results from search functions. Totally transparently concealing results, from the search engine. You don't need to know, but it still details a staggering 58 separate obstructions to the work of the committee since the First Minister's promise not to obstruct it in any way, or 71 if you include the preliminary ones. Just imagine if that hadn't been cooperated fully, readers. We hope that Craig Murray will turn out to be merely the latest of a growing line of failed attempts following those against Alex Salmond and Mark Hurst. I don't know who Mark Hurst is. By a rampantly incompetent Crown Office and the Lord Advocate to complete some kind of scalp to show for thousands of police hours and millions of pounds in public money that was wasted on a botched stitch-up of a former First Minister, allegedly. But the Scottish establishment continues to frankly try to interfere in the course of justice. In the weeks of Burns Night, a verse from the Bard's lesser-known poems has been going around the Scottish political Twitter. It's one that is better Scotland run through the blood of every journalist in the nation. Here's freedom of them that wad read. Here's freedom to them that wad write. There's nane ever feared that the truth should be heard, but they whom the truth would indict. Here's the heath to them that Robert Burns, 1792. And it's one that should be remembered by Yes supporters too, because if your cause can ever be damaged by truth, your cause is worthless, which is completely correct. And there's obviously Justice and Change. I've got a lot of comments, so just read the top one. Just one of the reasons why I want independence, to rid ourselves of a corrupt government. Corruption in government. Well, surely there must be a judge-led inquiry into this. So Lenny Hartley is correct. There needs to be a judge-led inquiry. I worry for Craig that they will find him guilty, and then when people protest, we will be told, well, you accepted the findings of the court when Salmond was found not guilty, so you should accept the ruling too. What a shit heap. I'm with Renton. It's shite being Scottish. Well, I wouldn't get that far. I don't think it's shite being Scottish, but well done to Wins Over Scotland for that little collaboration of all the information, and to Reverend Stuart Campbell for providing that for us. Guys, I hope you found that interesting. Love my baby gorillas. And let's keep the comments coming. We might be monetized, so we'll be doing paid questions and answer. All my years of work may come in handy now with paid information. Take a shot every time Sturgeon blinks her eyes. Right, my baby gorillas. Love you guys. Thanks for sticking by it. I know it was long.